Hey everybody, welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're going to be tackling the NBA today. But we're not just talking about the usual stuff like, championships and all that.
All right.
We're going to be digging a little deeper into the NBA's Wikipedia page, actually,
Okay.
to find some of the more surprising and unexpected facts about the league. So get ready for some serious aha moments.
Yeah, we're going to be going way beyond, just like the typical championship recaps.
Right.
And really digging deep into some of the lesser known parts of NBA history. Trust me, there's a lot more to this league than meets the eye.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, to start things off.
Yeah.
Did you know that the NBA wasn't always called the NBA?
Really?
It actually started as the BAA.
Oh, wow.
The Basketball Association of America back in 1946.
Oh.
I mean, it's kind of funny. They almost named it after baseball.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. And what's even crazier is that the very first NBA game was actually played in Toronto, Canada.
What?
Yeah.
Like
I bet a lot of people in the U.S. don't even realize that.
Yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But the early NBA wasn't all smooth sailing.
Right.
It had to go through all these mergers, team relocations, even like a shrinking period where the league was down to just 8 teams. Can you imagine?
Wow.
The playoffs with only 8 teams.
I mean, talk about a streamlined postseason.
Yeah.
But it really speaks to the evolution of the league, right? Like this merger with the NBL, it brought together teams from all these different places, like these bustling big cities and then these tiny little towns, and it all kind of came together to form the NBA that we know and love today.
Right, yeah. It's really fascinating to think about how that kind of mix of, big city and small town teams shaped the league's identity.
Absolutely.
And speaking of shaping the NBA, let's talk about those who, really broke down barriers in the league.
For sure. So back in 1947, Wataru Misaka actually became the very first non-white player in the BAA, breaking the color barrier. And then just a few years later, in 1950, African-American players like Chuck Cooper, Nathaniel Clifton, and Earl Lloyd joined the league.
Okay.
And, it's really important to remember that this was a time of huge social change.
Right.
In America, right.
Yeah.
Like the NBA, along with so many other parts of society, was going through this massive transformation.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's incredible how these, these pioneers really paved the way for a more diverse and inclusive league. I mean, their courage and determination really changed the game forever.
For sure.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about some of those legendary dynasties in the NBA.
Okay.
We've got to start with the Minneapolis Lakers, led by George Mikan, who was arguably the NBA's first superstar. 5 championships in those early years. I mean, that's dominance.
That's incredible. But, Mikan's impact actually went way beyond championships. He was such a powerful player that the league decided to put in the 24-second shot clock to actually speed up the game.
What? So they changed the rules because of one guy?
They did.
Wow.
It's really a testament to his skill and influence.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine what the game would even be like today without that shot clock?
I know. Totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
It's crazy how one player can have such a massive and lasting impact on, like the actual fabric of the game.
Yeah.
But, speaking of those legendary matchups, nothing can really compare to the rivalry between Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, absolutely. Those two just defined an era.
These two titans, man. I mean, Russell, that defensive mastermind with his 11 championships with the Celtics, really epitomized teamwork and grit.
Absolutely. And Chamberlain, on the other hand, unstoppable scoring machine. I mean, he even scored 100 points.
Insane.
In a single game.
It's insane.
But it wasn't just about basketball. Right? Like, it was this clash of styles, personalities, and, it even touched on a lot of the racial dynamics of that time.
Yeah, for sure. It was a rivalry for the ages, for sure.
Absolutely.
2 completely different approaches to the game, but both incredibly successful.
Yeah.
Okay, so just when the NBA was kind of finding its footing, along comes this upstart league, the ABA. And just kind of shakes things up.
I know. The ABA was like the NBA's cool, rebellious cousin, flashier, more daring, and they weren't afraid to go after some of the top NBA talent.
Right.
Rick Barry, who was actually leading the NBA in scoring at the time, jumped ship and joined the ABA.
So what did the NBA do? I mean, did they try and shut them down?
Well, instead of shutting them down, the NBA adapted.
Okay.
And ultimately decided to merge with the ABA in 1976.
Wow.
And that merger actually brought us some of the most iconic teams like the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Pacers, and the Nets. And let's not forget, of course, the ABA's most lasting legacy, the three-point line.
The three-point line. Oh, man. It's amazing to think how, like, a rival league
I know.
can push an established league to, like, really innovate and evolve. I mean, the three-pointer changed the game, you know?
Absolutely.
It all started with the ABA just challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
And speaking of change, the NBA went through this crazy period of expansion in the late 60s and early 70s, going from 9 to 18 teams.
It was like a boom time for basketball. Like, you had all these new cities, new franchises, a whole bunch of new fans getting introduced to the NBA.
The league was becoming like a nationwide phenomenon.
Absolutely.
But, you know, the best was yet to come.
Okay.
The 80s brought us that epic rivalry between Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Magic and Bird.
These two guys, man, revitalized the NBA.
Oh, they're magic, literally. I mean, the rivalry, it started in college, reached this fever pitch in the NBA Finals, and it just captivated the entire nation. Magic's showmanship, Bird's clutch shooting, it was like this perfect storm of talent and competition. And their styles were so different, too. It made it even more compelling to watch. Like, Magic with his, like, you know, those no-look passes and fast breaks.
Right.
And then Bird with his you know, that sharp shooting and, like, that intensity.
Right, yeah. They were like the perfect foils for each other.
Absolutely.
It was a rivalry that, I mean, it went beyond basketball. It was like almost this cultural clash. East Coast versus West Coast, Lakers versus Celtics. It was big.
It was huge.
And then just as that Magic and Bird era was winding down, along comes Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
And just, like, changes everything.
I know. I mean, he wasn't just a basketball player. He was like a global phenomenon. I mean, he led the Chicago Bulls to 2 three-peat championships in the 90s. Yeah. And his influence really went way beyond the court. He was a cultural icon. I mean, he was just a symbol of excellence and determination.
Yeah. His airness. I mean, those Bulls teams, man, they were incredible. And then there was the Dream Team.
Oh, yeah.
The 1992 Olympic squad.
Oh, amazing.
That featured Jordan, Magic, Bird, and this whole roster of, like, NBA superstars. I mean,
unbelievable.
It was like watching basketball royalty out there on the court.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Dream Team was like this global statement. Yeah. It was like showcasing all this incredible talent that the NBA had.
Right.
And it helped solidify the league's position as, like, the premier basketball organization in the whole world.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then the late 90s, the NBA expanded into Canada.
Yes.
With the Toronto Raptors and the Vancouver Grizzlies.
That's right. I mean, the NBA was becoming like a truly international league.
Yeah, for sure. And it wasn't just about, you know, expanding to new places.
Yeah.
The league was starting to attract more international players.
Yeah.
And it really brought this whole new set of skills and styles to the game.
Absolutely. And I mean, that globalization, it's been a defining feature of the modern NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really has.
Yeah.
But, you know, he hasn't always been smooth sailing. Remember the whole microfiber basketball thing back in 2006?
Oh, what? They tried to change the ball.
Yeah.
What happened?
So the NBA, they introduced this new microfiber ball.
Okay.
Hoping to improve grip and feel, right?
Yeah.
But the players hated it.
Really?
They complained about everything. The bounce, the feel. Even some players reported hand injuries.
Wow.
Yeah. So the NBA, they had to...
What'd they do?
They had to bring back the traditional leather ball just a few months later.
Oh, wow.
It was a rare moment where this seemingly, like, minor change caused this huge uproar.
It's crazy what can happen when you mess with tradition.
Yeah. You can't mess with tradition too much, especially when it's something as, like, iconic as basketball itself.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, the NBA has also done some really amazing things off the court, too. Like, there are social responsibility initiatives.
Oh, absolutely. The NBA Cares program has been, like, a major force for good. I mean, addressing all these different social issues, promoting education and supporting communities around the world.
Right.
It really shows the league's dedication to making a positive impact.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond the game itself.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I know there's still more to this story.
Oh, absolutely.
What other kind of unexpected twists and turns are waiting for us in NBA history?
Well, we've got a referee scandal that really shook the league, some lockout drama that really tested the players and owners.
Right.
And we're also going to take a look at how NBA viewership has been changing over the years.
Okay.
It's a wild ride, and we're just getting started.
Bring on the drama. Let's dive into these fascinating and sometimes controversial chapters in NBA history.
Okay. Let's start with something that really shook the NBA to its core. The Tim Donaghy referee betting scandal.
Ooh, okay. This sounds juicy. Give me the details.
So back in 2007, the FBI started investigating these allegations that Donaghy, who was a veteran referee at the time, was betting on the games that he was officiating.
What?
Yeah, and not just betting on them.
Okay.
But he was also making calls to influence the point spread.
Wait, so he was rigging the games for his own profit?
Yeah, essentially.
It's insane.
I know. He eventually pled guilty
Wow.
to 2 federal charges related to the investigation.
Okay.
And he served 15 months in prison.
Wow. That's a serious breach of trust. This must have been a huge blow to the NBA's credibility.
Absolutely. I mean, it raised all these serious concerns about, the integrity of the games.
Yeah.
And it led to this massive overhaul of the NBA's officiating practices.
So what did they do to prevent something like this from happening again?
Well, they made their rules and regulations a lot stronger, really focusing on transparency, accountability, and stricter monitoring of the referees.
Right.
They wanted to make sure that the fans knew that the games were fair and that the integrity of the league was the top priority.
That's good to hear. Hopefully those changes helped restore some faith in the officiating. But, scandals aside, the NBA kept growing and evolving.
Right.
What about the return of the Charlotte Hornets? I remember that being a pretty big deal for the city.
It was a big deal. The original Hornets franchise had actually moved to New Orleans back in 2002.
Right.
But then the NBA decided to grant Charlotte an expansion team in 2004.
Okay.
And then eventually they were able to reclaim the Hornets name and history, which was really heartwarming for those fans who had lost their beloved team.
Yeah, I love a good comeback story.
Me too.
But speaking of teams moving, we got to talk about the Seattle Supersonics.
Oh, the Sonics.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, their departure was heartbreaking for so many fans.
It was a really controversial move.
Yeah.
So in 2008, the Supersonics relocated to Oklahoma City.
Right.
And became the Thunder.
Yeah.
And, the city of Seattle, they really fought hard to try and keep their team. But the ownership group, they decided to move.
Yeah.
That still stings for Seattle fans, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Losing a team you love is never easy, especially under circumstances like that. But let's shift gears to something a little bit lighter.
Okay.
Remember when the NBA first started experimenting with those outdoor games?
The outdoor games, yeah. So the NBA actually first kind of dipped their toes in the water with that back in 2008.
Okay.
They had a preseason game between the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets.
Okay.
At the Indian Wells Tennis Garden in California.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Did it feel like a novelty, Or did it have the same intensity as a regular season game?
Well, it was definitely a unique experience for the players and fans. They had this specially constructed court.
Right.
And the atmosphere was electric. It felt like a special event, even though it was just a preseason game.
I bet. Playing under the open sky must have added a whole new dimension to the game. So from scandals to outdoor games, the NBA has definitely seen its share of ups and downs.
It really has.
And through it all, the league has continued to expand its global reach with more international players than ever before.
That's right.
It's amazing to see how basketball has become such a global sport. But let's talk about something that's been on everyone's mind lately.
Okay.
The decline in NBA viewership.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a really complex issue.
Yeah.
With a lot of contributing factors like cord cutting, competition from all these other entertainment options, and even just changes in, fan preferences.
Yeah. There's just so much competing for our attention these days. It's hard to stay focused on one thing, especially when you have streaming services, social media, and all these other distractions.
I know. And the NBA has also been criticized for things like load management, where star players sit out games to rest and avoid injuries.
Right. Yeah, I get that they need to protect their players.
Yeah.
But it can be kind of frustrating for fans who pay good money to see their favorite stars, in action.
Right, exactly. It's this delicate balance between player health and fan expectations.
So what does all this mean? Is the NBA in trouble?
I wouldn't say they're in trouble.
Yeah.
The league is still incredibly popular, especially globally.
Yeah.
But they definitely need to adapt and innovate to keep attracting new fans and stay relevant in this ever-changing media landscape.
Yeah. What's really fascinating is that the NBA has always been a league that embraces change.
It has.
They've always evolved the game, the rules, the marketing, everything.
Absolutely. And, you know, if we kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the NBA is really at a crossroads right now.
Yeah.
They need to find ways to connect with younger audiences who are used to consuming content differently.
Yeah.
They're used to streaming short-form videos and having instant access to everything.
Right. So they need to figure out how to make the game even more exciting, more accessible, and more relevant to those fans.
Exactly. And they also have to be really mindful of the global landscape. I mean, the NBA is this global phenomenon now.
Yeah.
And they need to figure out how to cater to this diverse fan base with all these different cultural nuances.
So they need to think globally, but act locally, understanding those unique cultural differences while staying true to those core values that make the NBA so special.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I mean, it's a tall order, but I have faith in the NBA.
Yeah.
They've overcome challenges in the past, and I think they'll find a way to thrive in this new era.
I agree. The NBA has this rich history of innovation and adaptation. And they have this passionate fan base that's, you know, really rooting for them to succeed.
Absolutely. And, I mean, we've seen how the NBA has both shaped and been shaped by social change. Face scandals and come out stronger on the other side and constantly push the boundaries of what's possible in basketball.
It's been a pretty incredible journey. From those humble beginnings to this global domination.
Yeah.
From barrier-breaking pioneers to, like, game-changing rivalries.
Yeah.
And as we look to the future, one question remains. What will the next chapter of NBA history hold?
Yeah. What will the NBA look like in 10, 20, even 50 years? Will they find a way to, like, recapture that magic of the past while navigating all the complexities of the present? Will they connect with those new generations of fans while staying true to their roots?
Right.
I mean, only time will tell, but one thing's for sure.
What's that?
The NBA will continue to be this source of excitement, inspiration, and debate for years to come.
For sure.
And who knows, maybe you'll be a part of it someday.
Yeah, you never know. So to all our listeners out there, keep watching, keep cheering, keep those conversations going.
Absolutely.
Because the NBA's story is far from over.
It's just getting started.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the NBA. We hope you learned something new, maybe had a few aha moments.
For sure.
And came away with a deeper appreciation for this incredible league.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into those topics that spark your curiosity.
Goodbye, everyone, and see you on the court.
It really is like the million-dollar question. And, you know, they're trying all sorts of things, like experimenting with new formats like that in-season tournament.
Right.
And investing a ton in digital platforms to reach a wider audience.
It's like they're trying to find that balance between tradition and innovation.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Appeal to the longtime fans, but also grab the attention of those younger generations.
Exactly. And they also have to remember that global landscape. The NBA is this worldwide phenomenon. And they got to make sure they're catering to this really diverse fan base with all those different cultural nuances.
So think globally, act locally. Understanding those differences, but staying true to those core values that make the NBA what it is.
Yeah, well said. It's a lot to juggle.
It is.
But I have faith in the NBA. I mean, they've faced tough challenges before.
They have.
And I think they'll figure out how to thrive in this new era.
I agree. I mean, the NBA has this incredible history of innovation and adaptation.
Right.
And they have a really passionate fan base.
Oh, absolutely.
People who really want to see them succeed.
For sure. And I mean, we've talked about how the NBA has been shaped by social change.
Right.
How they've faced scandals and come back stronger.
Yeah.
And how they've always kind of pushed the limits of what's possible in basketball.
Yeah. It's been quite a journey. From those early days to global domination.
I know.
From those barrier-breaking pioneers to those legendary rivalries. And as we look ahead, I mean, the big question is...
What's next?
What's next for the NBA? What will it look like in 10, 20, even 50 years?
Right. Can they bring back some of that old magic?
Yeah.
While still dealing with all the complexities of today's world? Can they connect with those new fans while staying true to their roots?
It's a big question.
Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. The NBA is going to keep on being this source of excitement, inspiration, and debate.
Absolutely. For years to come.
And hey, who knows?
What?
Maybe you'll be a part of it someday.
Yeah, you never know. So to all our listeners out there,
keep watching.
Keep cheering. Keep those conversations going because the NBA story is far from over.
Not even close.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the NBA.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you learned something new, maybe even had a few of those aha moments.
For sure.
And that you came away with a deeper appreciation for this amazing league.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into those things that make you curious.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the court.